Transformation, by definition, is a marked change as an appearance or character, usually for the better. When Jen and I began dating in 2002, we were excited, enthusiastic to start our new life together. We traveled overseas to Cuba together in the winter of 2003. We survived a 17-hour round-trip car ride to Disney. And we even remained in love after meeting each other's families. Mine, 2 Jewish social workers from Westchester, New York, and hers first and second generation Italian Catholics from the outskirts of Boston. When we moved down to Baltimore from the Berkshires in the summer of 2003, we both knew that our relationship was going to last. We began talking about our future together, and even started ring shopping. Amidst all of our talk about the future, religion rarely came up. Jen had stated that it was important to her that our children be baptized. I, hearing Jen even suggest her willingness to have children with me, happily obliged. It didn't occur to me how hard this would be until well after we were married and our first child was on her way. We went ahead with the baptism. The day of the ceremony, it was hard to differentiate which of us, Julia or me, was in fact the baby. With clenched jaw and red ears, I reluctantly participated in this event, but it crushed me. I felt the need to honor my own history and culture, one in which one set of grandparents told long-winded stories that went nowhere, clearly the Jewish side, and one set of grandparents who fled the Nazis' wrath as they invaded Czechoslovakia, ironically not the Jewish side. I began to visit synagogues around Baltimore in the hopes of not only pleasing my parents, but also finding something to fill the void in my heart that began once I felt that I had abandoned Judaism. During my quest, I felt nothing. I attempted to implement Friday night prayers prior to chowing down on chicken lo mein or tikka masala. I wore a tie around my neck, and I even took off from work on the high holidays, yet I still felt cheap. It wasn't working. I began to investigate. I looked up what people in interfaith marriages did to accommodate each other. I happened upon a YouTube video of an older woman sharing a story about the Holocaust with personal anecdotes, yet she spoke from a church pulpit. I continued my investigation to find a video of the history of the church right down the street from us, in which the fight for justice for all was its mission. I then came upon a sermon by a woman with a funny last name for a minister, Petersburger, about Valentine's Day. It was a story about friendship, hope, loyalty, but most of all love. It brought me to tears. I printed it out and I read it to Jen, and I told her that this was from a church in Towson, and that I was hoping that this could be our religious compromise. I emailed this Reverend Petersburger, and I recall getting a response while sitting at my desk at work. I was comforted by her words. She stated that she too came from an interfaith family. She warned that it would probably be an easier transition for me than for Jen, but encouraged us to try it out. We went to our first service where Paul Azam sang a beautiful folk song on his guitar. Reverend Claire spoke so elegantly, and for the first time in my life I felt warm in the church. We went to the Washington Zoo immediately following our first coffee and conversation. I felt like I was in middle school again, and had just met the new girl, and knew instantly that I had a crush on her. I spoke about TUUC throughout the week, excited, anticipating the next sermon. I called my parents, again like a middle schooler, nervous that the word church would have me banished from the no longer practicing Reformed Jewish household that I grew up in. As I explained the church to my parents, I was shocked to hear them tell me that it sounds like something that my grandmother, the Jewish one who told long-winded stories about nothing, would have loved. Jen and I often talk about the fact that had we known about TUUC when we were planning our marriage and our family, we would have never felt the stress and anxiety about religion that we did. Yet we needed those emotions to find you. Like any family, we at TUUC can argue, insult, and even judge one another. But like family, we love one another even more. Transformation, by definition, is a marked change as an appearance or character, usually for the better. TUUC has transformed me. It has transformed my family. No longer do Jen and I exchange condescending riffs about the inequalities of women in Judaism. No longer do we spat over the fact that Christianity preaches that those who don't accept Christ as the Lord and Savior, me, would not be welcomed into heaven. No longer do we force grace or the blessings over the candles on Friday nights as we eat non-kosher meals. Now we light our chalice, the ones that our children made, here at TUUC. Now we bring our parents to services. and we join in committees. We involve our children in everything that we can. So by definition, TUUC is transformation.